Oh, that was a beginner's error. Oh dear, it's been a while since I've done that. It wasn't actually an error. I was just pretending to make noise, and I wasn't actually, just to see if I could catch any of you out. Did I catch any of you out? Yeah, I caught myself out there. Anyway, hello to Title Tuesday, this brilliant event on Chess.com, and we're actually only 2 minutes away from the start now. So it's going to be fantastic. I love this tournament, and we got such a great lineup today. Just have a look at those names there. Unbelievable. It's going to be a really good event today. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my bones. And we're going for a little bit of blue today. It's blue everywhere. Blue ocean, blue sea, blue everything. And you know, if I don't like a bit of blue, I will go to the mountains. But we won't go to the mountains a lot because we want to keep an eye on the chess. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. So how does Title Tuesday event work? Well, it works with 11 games of 3-minute chess, but there is an increment of 1 second per move, and that goes on for 11 rounds. There's no knockout at the end. So it's winner takes all. Obviously, the prizes we saw there on the sort of slideshow that was played. 1,000 first, not too shabby in these times. 4 prizes, and it's just a real fun event. I think it's the best event. You know, I'm not, well, I suppose I'm a little bit biased, but it's just the truth. It's the best online event in chess, because it's open to so many players, and it's every Tuesday, and I can play in it, so that's why it's best. So let's just have a look. Now it's going to start in 30 seconds, but before it gets there, we should have a look at some of the top guys. You can see them. We've got Hikaru. Oh yeah, and just look at those names. I'm sure you know most of them. A lot of the top 10 players in the world are playing. Who's my pick? It's really hard to bet against Hikaru, but I'm going to go Anish this time. I don't know if Anish has ever won it. I feel like he's due for a win. Anish Giri. So that is my pick, but we're going to start by having a look at Hikaru's game. So we're into the action, and this is an FN from Sweden, GM playing against Hikaru. And well, Hikaru's playing a bit of an unorthodox system, attacking the d4 pawn there straight away. And Hikaru's an expert in the King's Indian defense, and he's playing the King's Indian defense here. When this move is okay, but now h4 is a very good move. I would say that, but you need to try and stop black from playing f5, which black has done anyway. Is Simon Williams the most English name ever? Hello, I will be looking at the chat in twitch.tv. Oh my words, what is going on here? Okay, this is very odd. It's not so bad because it's closed over there. No, Williams is actually a Welsh name. Thank you, Alexander Waters. My grandfather worked in the coal mines in Wales, in Abergavenny, before there was a disaster there. A little bit of family history. I think Smith is the most common name, but anyway, you didn't want to hear that, did you? What about the position? Well, this is actually very interesting, because obviously Hikaru's king is misplaced on f7, but he's got this good control over here of the king side, and because the pawns are locked, there's no way white can open up the position towards Hikaru's king. If white could get rid of these pawns somehow, then he could open up the position and get to that king, but he can't do that here. So I think Hikaru's fine. He's just going to go knight to f6, and we know Hikaru plays the, what's it called, that rubbish opening where you move your king anyway, and he beat Wesley So with it. What was it called? Oh, you know the one, f3 king f2. Come on people, help me out here, help me out. I'm sure some of you can remember it, the name of it. But I think Hikaru's doing fine here, and this is very risky to castle the king onto an open line. So in actual fact, it may be white's king that's in more danger. The Bong Cloud. There we go, the Bong Cloud. Thank you for reminding me of that name. I've actually played it in a real tournament myself, but not to be repeated. And he beat, was it Jeffery Xiong? Okay, and it was Magnus who beat, was it Magnus Carlsen who beat Wesley So in the Bong Cloud? The Bong Cloud, it's got a great name, hasn't it? I don't know what a bong is, but there you go. Anyway, on to the game, and it looks like Hikaru is now going to be doing something nasty on e4, and the problem is you can't take that one because look, everything is lined up on that diagonal. So if you decide to take here, which white shouldn't do, Hikaru swaps off there, goes bishop to f5, and he wins queen. So in this position, I think unless there's something I'm missing, isn't white just lost here? What can white play? Can white do something crazy like this? He's resigned. Why did he resign? He resigned in a position which the computer thinks is equal. Never resign too early. I mean, he could actually. This is not so... Okay, he resigned because it looks like he's losing a piece. But in actual fact, you should always look for resources, especially when your opponent's king was on such a square. And I think he could have tried... this might be rubbish, but I certainly would consider knight takes e5 check. And all of a sudden... Black has to take here, and now you play bishop c4, and all of a sudden you've got some chances. Maybe I would even take white in this position, because my big idea is to go d6 check, and that black king is not happy. You can't stop me playing d6, because if you go queen here, I go bishop c5. You have to move your queen, and this is the kind of example which could just be losing for Hikaru. So that is actually a lesson of giving your opponent too much respect. You know, okay, you certainly think you're losing because you're losing a piece, but you should try and fight on and look for resources, especially when your opponent's king is on this square. So white resigned here, but white should have played on. I actually like white's position after this move. White's got great attacking chances. Okay, we're going to move on to another game, and let me have a look now at the game between Sibyl Elephant, who is the person, I can never remember his name. He's the second seed. He's the second seed. He's doing very well here, isn't he? With the two bishops and this monstrous pawn. Why can't I? Oh, come on! I commentated when he won. Artemiev is probably the name I can't pronounce as well as a lot of other names, but Artemiev is here, and he's a really talented Russian. Grishchuk, the ever funny Grishchuk, actually called Artemiev Chuck Norris because he does look a little bit like Chuck Norris when he represented Russia in the online FIDE Olympiad. He was named Chuck Norris because he does have that Chuck Norris look. I can certainly think of a lot of worse names to be called than Chuck Norris, right? And I've been called them, so it's a cool nickname. And he's doing very well here. This pawn is simply gonna queen. Two bishops and a pass pawn. It is just too strong, especially against a little rook here. Now we'll leave it on this game. One thing I like doing myself, which maybe not all of you do, when you watch commentary you don't really like, but I like sticking with one game. Do let me know your thoughts on that. I don't like jumping around too much from one game to the other because it's quick enough as it is, and I'm going to pick a game. You guys can give me suggestions of where you want to go, but we're normally, during the course of these 11 rounds, stick with just one game. And here we have Artemiev winning that game, and you can see the scoreboards. He will be jumping up there in just 1 second. Right, so let's just have a look who else is playing, if there is. Well, Anish is still playing. Anish is my pick, but he's got a lot of work to do to win this position here. Anish has the black pieces, and he's probably better here. The reason he's better is because all of white's pawns are on light squares, right? You can see that, and white's got a light square bishop. So his bishop can only defend his pawns. His bishop can't attack in any way because all of the black pawns are on dark squares, and that's what normally happens when you have this pawn structure. So, well, there is this pawn on f5, but apart from that, well, now look at that. Anish has managed to trick him, and he's won that pawn, and now the king is going to come into the position with quite an easy win. You can move the knight back and then you can do a couple of things here, or you can come forwards. You can try to bring the king in this way, or just slowly push your passed pawn. So the pawn is coming. So, well, this is okay. Hello, Feggy is claiming that this pawn should be called the Feggy pawn, but it's already been named, and it's called oh my word, Freddy pawn, out of Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. And Anish there gets his first win, so he's my pick for the tournament. Anish Giri, who I believe is probably streaming as well, if you want to go and check out his comments on the match. And right, is there any other games going on? So it doesn't look like there's too many upsets as of yet. Let's go and have a look at Erik Hansen. Erik Hansen is a lot of pawns up there, and we come just at the end. And I think now we'll probably just wait for round 2. No other big names playing, and maybe we can talk about the players a little bit. So who do you guys in the chat, who do you think is going to win? So I've put my neck on the line, and I've gone for Anish Giri. Can you guys also say who do you think is going to do it? Anyone at all? Well, we have, I'm very good at mispronouncing names. I mean, the thing is, people will always tell me different games to look at, and I'm just going to pick the guys I want at the end of the day, but I will listen to your advice. If a lot of you say, oh, MVL, then I will go there. I always want to have a look at Hikaru because he's one of the top players, and I want to look at Anish because he's my pick. So I'm going to have the final say. I probably won't be looking at Magnus Carlsen's games. He's one of the only players who is not playing at the moment. And well, let's just have a look at some of the other names so you can see them. I mean, we've got MVL. MVL is, I don't know how many times has MVL won this before. I would like to know. I don't know if MVL's won this before. I imagine he has, but I don't think Anish has. There's some very strong Indian players. We have Runak, who came second last week when I was doing the commentary. And then you have Nordibek, one of the youngest ever grandmasters, maybe the youngest or the second youngest. I always get a bit confused there, but he's a really talented player. We have Fedisev, a strong Russian contingent of players, and going down, Mamajarov, who was world number 2 at some point, and he is there just above Jeffery Xiong, who won this event last week. Can Jeffery go for 2 out of 2 wins in consecutive weeks? We have Jordan van Forest, who is Jopie, and he is a very strong grandmaster from Holland. And Jordan, funny thing about Jordan is his grandfather was also, funnily enough, was also, let's get this right, was also Dutch chess champion. So I found, that's quite a weird coincidence, yeah. Now I'm sure round 2 will start very soon, so we keep an eye out for that. But they're the feelings. Now do remember you can follow me as well, my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, which is Ginger GM, twitch.tv Ginger GM, and I do have a Twitter account, Ginger_GM. So there you go. And it's great to see so many different nations playing. I mean, and we've got Salim here from the UAE. And obviously Erik Hansen, and then we have there's another great thing about chess in general, just how many different nations can take part, and it's a real equalizer, isn't it? Chess, it doesn't matter where you're from, what you do, you sit at the board, you play, you're equal. Okay, so there is one more game going on, and we have a game here between someone rated 1779, and he might even get to, this is going to be funny, bishop and knight versus king. So this is the game still going, 148 moves, and now he's got to play e6. He isn't playing e6. Maybe he doesn't know how to checkmate with bishop and knight. This is he should have gone e6. Surely this is a 50 move rule, and he now has to play e6. Play e6. He doesn't want to play this move. I think he's literally worried, because you should just play e6 and force. Oh, he could have won with knight e7. He can go knight e7. Oh, unbelievably might win this. 160 moves. 160 moves. And It looks like he's going to now get there. Only 1779, but he's performing quite well here, unless he stalemates. And that is the end of round 1, and that was 167 moves. Epic indeed. Okay, so round 2 should start very soon. I think for round 2 we're going to start with MVL. Let's have a look at MVL. We haven't looked at his games yet, and we'll dive in. And now everyone's getting a little bit tougher pairings. 2600 is no slouch. 2600, very good rating at Blitz Chess. I mean, that is quite a serious one. And MVL here with the white pieces. And this guy looks like he may be a young Russian IM, which is even different. Yeah, I mean, there's a 500 point, 600 point, 550 point difference, but it's you know, still can be tough playing someone like this. And we have a very solid position on the board here at the moment. White is playing what is called the Reti opening. I always have thought of the Reti opening as a bit of an old man's opening. I don't know if it's fair in saying that, and what I mean by that is it's kind of a very safe opening to play for White, where White just plays the same sort of moves, doesn't really do much past the 4th rank. You know, look at him retreating away, and it's kind of like, you know, a safety first opening. But I think that's a little bit unfair. That's what I thought of the Reti. It's probably because I never enjoyed playing it, but it's basically a good positional opening. And MVL is now springing to life with this tempo gain. Black still not to develop his queen side, and you probably have to like White's position somewhat here. Prana Viarjes says, I played a Reti. Are you an old man, Prana? That's what I want to know. And yeah, I mean, that's just, it's a wrong conception saying the Reti is an old man's opening. It's totally wrong. I don't know why I think that. It's not fair. Ali Reza, as you mentioned, plays it as well a lot, and so does like some of the most aggressive players around, like Parham plays it. So it's not an old man's opening. I think maybe I was scarred as a junior. You know, maybe when I was like 8 years old, I went to my local chess club, and the old man sitting next to me smoking his pipe. You know, you could do that in the chess clubs I used to go to, smelling of some real strong tobacco. He used to always play the Reti, and I'd look at his board and I'd be like, yeah, he's doing it again. So it's weird how childhood trauma can affect you, but that's not really the most biggest childhood trauma, is it? So still reasonably easy. I think Black's playing very sensible here. This bishop is actually quite good as a black piece, because it pressurizes this pawn, and now you can see that Black's playing very sensible. He's got the pressure against the pawn here, and MVL has to do something about this. I mean, ideally White would love to push that pawn up the board, but of course you can't because it's pinned. You know, you want to use your pawn majority, and when I mean majority here, you can see White has 4 pawns on the king side, and this is against, let's see if we can get a bit of green, against 3 pawns. And when you have a majority, you want to use that majority often to push forwards. Now bishop f4, a sensible way to make sure the pawn is guarded. And this is maybe, I mean, this move Black would like to play, but then he gets hit by b4, so you have to be careful of b4 clearly. So how does Black improve? Maybe Black could double up, rook e6, rook e8. Is that an idea? Trying to get pressure against this, but I suppose that allows White's knight in here, and maybe White would like to get this knight to this square, because then it would be hovering around the black king, and if it's exchanged you get rid of that annoying bishop. But instead Black's come up with another plan. Where is that knight going? Okay, is he going there? Nope, he can't go there, that is covered. Maybe he's trying to get into the position somewhere like this, but I'm not sure about that move. That seems like a rather peculiar square for the knight, and you know, knights are one of those pieces you have to be particularly careful with. Bishops are generally quite more simpler to use, because you can clearly see where they're good. You put them on a diagonal, is that good or bad? When you move your knights, I feel they have a lot more future. Well, I don't know about a lot more, but you have to be careful, more careful about their future potential. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, you're okay, this is his idea, very interesting, I missed this one, very nice play. And their future potential, well, he has found a good way. You know, you've got to think where they go, not in one move and what they're doing in one move, but generally what they're doing in like 2 to 3 moves time. That's what you do with knights. So you've got to look forward and forward, because they often will be destabilized from the squares they're on. Okay, so that was, I think, a clever idea, but MVL's holding it together. And now actually the question is that bishop? I mean, the danger with that bishop, it's quite annoying for white, but if it can never take this pawn, it's also could be very bad. But now e5's played, and look at the clock. The clock is bad. The clock is very bad for black, and I think f4 is coming at some moment. So this is looking actually quite bad for black now. Can MVL just capture on b7? I'm sure he's gonna think about it. If he can play it, he will play it. And the next thing that I think, yeah, he has played it. MVL is one of those players who will always play the most critical move. Like all the top players, if they see a pawn they can capture and they think they can get away with it, I think generally they will do, because they realize that will win them the game. And they're quite fearless. You know, compared to lower rated players, they show no fear. And I think white is doing very well here. White is one pawn up, but look at the time, 2 seconds left. 2 seconds left. So black needs a bit of a miracle here to escape this one, and he could also find him. I think queen c8 is good. Yep, look at the pin there. We have rook here, but then rook e8. This is rook e8 holds on. Yeah, rook e8, clever move, but he's one on time. He's one on time. It's a funny position, because here it looks like it might be the end of the game, but maybe black can play rook e8, right? Because you attack the queen, and this might be playable. But okay, let's move on to see what other games are going on. You can keep an eye, obviously, on the live scoreboard just below. We have so far all the top players up there, and talking about top players, we're going to see very quickly if there's any interesting games going on. This is an easy win for Hikaru, 2 connected pass pawns, so he's going to be on 2 out of 2. We won't look at that game anymore. This game looking a lot more interesting. Artemev, the second seed, seems to have very good control on the dark squares, and his knight here is actually very well placed. But keep an eye on the times. Look at the times. His clock is ticking very quickly. He's playing Winnie the Pooh. I like that name. I like that name. And it's still looking quite good for black, because he has this control on the file, and now he's won a piece. Now he's simply won a rook. So Artemev is going to be going into like lead as well. And now to Anish. Anish is now demonstrating the power of the 2 bishops, and his 2 bishops here are working brilliantly. This is actually, I mean, look at this position. This is a lovely demonstration of the bishop power, this final position. And what I mean by that is that you know, this knight here is totally pinned down, and the other bishop is going to get rid of its only defender. So this is a very sorry position for black here. Very sorry position here. So it looks like no upsets as we see. Now, Chess Vibes, as much as I'd like to see the game you're posting, you may realize that I'm actually like commentating here. If I start like analyzing a game, is it from Title Tuesday, or is it a random game from 200 years ago? If it's an amazing game from Title Tuesday, I may consider it, but I can't start, you know, oh, you know what I'm gonna do, let's forget about Title Tuesday, I'll just go and show you one of my games from the local league that I played when I was 8 years old. You know, should we do that? Oh, it's Jabava round 2. Okay, well that makes it much more tempting. I, to be honest, with the setup I've got, I don't really want to change things because you might see some funny changes. So Jabava danced off it. Well, he's a great player, Jabava. I don't know how to look at games that have gone, unfortunately, but we'll be seeing more of Jabava, who has where is he? Let's have a look on the list. He has in my opinion, the most stupid username, but he's such a great player, Jabava. One of my favourite players. Okay, another player I know very well, that is Gawain Jones of England. Incredibly strong player. And there is Jabava, exotic princess. And is Chess Vibes? Is that? It might be Peter Doggers. If it is, hello Peter. I'd love to see that game. Can I click on that? Okay, now I know it's Peter. I wasn't sure who it was. I will try clicking on it, but if it ruins this, let's see. Okay, can we do that? Oh, I know. Oh no! Oh no! That didn't work too well, did it? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to go and do this again. See, this is what happens with me in technology. You know, I try to do something live and it doesn't quite work. I think I better stick with what I know. We're back again. Don't worry. I probably could set it up, but we'll have to save that one for later. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will actually save the link to that game because if it's a game from Jabava, I'm extremely keen to look at it myself. So let me maybe at the end of Title Tuesday we can have a look at it. So let me just whack that in the chat here, so we can look at it later. Okay, that didn't destroy the stream. We're still live. Good. Okay, so lots of strong players on 2 out of 2. There's another name I'm sure a lot of you recognize. That is Vidit. Vidit, and former prodigy. And we're waiting. Round 3 is on. Okay, let's go to round 3. And the player I'm going to pick now is, I'm going to go for, this time we're going to go and have a look at Anish. And he's playing a 2700 with the black pieces. So this is going to be a little bit tough. Actually, I'll tell you what, this position doesn't look too exciting. Let's go and find Jabava. Let's go and find him. Where are you? Where are you, exotic princess? That sounds weird when I say it like that. Where are you, my exotic princess? Where are you? Where are you? I can't see him at the moment. I'm going to try to find his game from the list. Hopefully it will become clear to me. Maybe he's still celebrating that last victory. I can't see his name. Why? Oh, there he is. Okay, let's go and have a look. Oh, this is really boring. This is an exchange Slav. One thing I would try to suggest to all of you guys who watch basically one thing I suggest to all you guys is, like, when you look at positions, try to get in the habit of recognizing like pawn structures, so you can see a pawn structure and knowing straight away what opening was played. So, you know, look at middle game positions from books, even from online games, and try to guess what the pawn structure is. Now, you might think that you might think basically that that's not a very good technique to do, but it's really a good way to get you in the habit of realizing and visualizing positions. So what I mean by that is, you see a pawn structure and you suddenly go, oh, I know how that arose. So you have to think back and you think, okay, that was an exchange Slav. And what I mean by that is, I could tell within a second that this is the exchange Slav. And what I mean by that is this opening here. And the reason that I think that's quite a good way to improve your understanding of middle game positions is you have to sort of work out the logical continuation from the opening to the middle game. And you have to realize certain middle game ideas very quickly. For example, this is a very common middle game idea. The knight here wants to come into one of these two squares. And these are all plans that you can use in the middle game. I meet so many players who spend all of their time just looking at openings, but they've no idea what to do when they get in the middle game because they never look at that part of the game. So you should look at the games of top players and have a look. You know, this is a very common idea. A good coach or a good video course will tell you in the opening what they're trying to do in the middle game. For example, you often move your knight here because there's a weakness on b6, and the knight can often come to c5. So that's a good habit to get yourself into. Look at random positions, try to guess the opening, and also try to work out what the plan should be. If you don't know what the plan should be, look at the position that top players play in that kind of middle game and work out what they do. Okay, so right, let's go on. I mean, it isn't the most exciting of games, this, so I'm going to move on. I hope you don't mind. Well, I say we're going to move on. Now I'm actually a little bit more interested, because can black play rook to c1, attacking this guy here? Can this happen? No, he's just retreated. And this advance is quite risky for black, because whenever you make pawn moves, you weaken squares, and you can never cover this square. So at some point, I don't think it's a real problem, but you know, white has a bit of pressure here. Okay, let's go on though. Let's go on. And he is coming at him. Okay, I did say I was going to stick. Shall I move on or stick? Shall we stick or twist? What do you guys want me to do? You tell me. I'll stick on the. I'll have a little bit more tea while you decide me if you want me to look at this. Stick. Okay. Stick. Move on, stick. Okay, that's enough. We're sticking. Outvoted 3-2. It is a democracy. That's how I work, even though you'd never guess that by some politics that are going on throughout the world at the moment. Stop the politics talk, you'll get yourself in trouble, Williams. Okay, well now Jabava has managed to grab a pawn, and this gives him some chances on the queen side, especially if he can get his knight there. But on the other hand, this player from, where is this, Kazakhstan, is now going on a little bit of an attack. He's got these two bishops lined up. Can he increase the attack? Can he get his queen in? Can he do something else? I don't think he can. I think, you know, Jabava's king is quite safe here. His pawns are guarding it, and he's got this bishop to guard it. And if he gets this one move in, I really like black's position, because, okay, so white's going all in. White is going all in. White's basically saying, right, my position on the queen side is broken down, so I need to go for the attack. And this is what he's trying to do. And he's now trying to line up this sacrifice, but it's only one sacrifice. Only one sacrifice. I have to say, if I had a ban button here, I would ban Martin83's comment there in the chat. It would just be automatic ban. How can you say Jabava is weak, you troll? He won this tournament 2 times ago when I was commentating. He's a fantastic player, one of the most fantastic players in the world, and one of the most imaginative. Okay, well, I like what white's doing here. So white realizes that he can't checkmate just with the 2 bishops, and he's bringing his knight around now to try and land a killer blow on this square, or a blow. So he's going for it. But now if he goes knight here, I think black can play king takes bishop, but then there is knight takes g6. Let's have a look at that. So I was just looking in this position. White could have gone forwards, and after king takes here, gone knight takes g6. He should have gone for this. You should always go for the most aggressive line. This knight couldn't have been taken because of checkmate. And let's see how things are developing. They're both getting very short of time. Well, white is still trying to come in, and now black has managed to defend, but keep an eye on the clock. Keep an eye on the clock. And, well, white's queen side is dropping. Can he get through over here? I don't think he can. White's now trying to get the queen in, but then e5 comes. e5 comes anyway. Knight takes here is a good move. Queen takes c4. This is still very unclear, but white is 10 seconds down on the clock. So it should be in Jabava's hand. He's transferred his rook to try and get the b2 pawn. If he can get that pawn, he'll win the game. Maybe his queen will now come in to the position as well. It does. And now rook takes b2. That should be the end. Our only friend, the end. All of white's pawns are dropping, and he's coming in. g2 is on pre, and this must be curtains now. A couple of ways to do this. Maybe he's just going to try to swap queens off. Very simple. Get his rook behind the passed pawn. This is where you should put your rook always behind the passed pawn, and this is a technical win. So we'll just watch it be played out. White was doing very well there. I mean, the one thing that White did wrong, and I always find this when I'm playing strong players, should we even say legendary players like Jabava, you get into a position where you play some clever ideas, you're attacking, but then you have too much faith in your opponent's defensive skills, and you're suddenly like, oh, I can't, you know. So I just want to show one moment where I'm thinking there. I think it was a key moment where White had played very well, because this position, he has to go for it against the black king, and he does this very nicely, and he builds up his pieces, and this is a quality move, bringing the knight around to sacrifice itself on g6. Another little bit of advice I will give to you guys who are watching this, maybe want to improve, is when you are attacking and you're looking for that tactic, look at your pieces which are already in the heat of the battle, and I'd say it's these 3 pieces in red, because you have a possible sack here which doesn't work at the moment because black has too many defenders. If you can do something with your immediate pieces in the attack, great, calculate and win. If you can't, it's very important to bring round your reinforcements. So work out where your opponent's focal point is, and here the g6 square is black's focal point. This is the square we want to break through on, and look at your reinforcements. And this maneuver is a brilliant maneuver from White, and the one mistake that White played was after this move he retreated. Had White now continued with this move, I think this is very dangerous for Jabava. The idea is after knight takes here, can we now sacrifice? Maybe I even take with the bishop, because I'm threatening queen h5 and queen h7. Okay, the evaluation bar doesn't like it. Was knight takes better? Maybe knight takes then. And the evaluation bar is still saying black's okay, but I think you should go for it anyway. It's better to die in a blaze of glory than fade away as a ghost, isn't it? I guess. Okay, so keep in mind the scores. Many players on 3 out of 3, as you can see here. So it looks like most of the favourites are still up there. Any games going on? So of course there are. Hikaru is still going. Whoa, bang! I go there straight away, and he has mate in 10, and he wins against a strong Norwegian player. It's all scary, I think, when you see a Norwegian flag. Could it be the next Magnus Carlsen? Right, moving on. Let's see who else we've got at the top. And we're going to now see if MVL is still playing. Oh, we missed this one. It got to bishop and knight, and it's a draw. MVL drops half a point, but his opponent wasn't able to win with bishop and knight. Now you may laugh, but this is incredibly hard. Let's go back and see what the start position was. Well, oh my words, I mean, he is a grand master, Alex Rustamov, but I'm going to be blatantly honest with you guys. Let's just see where the position started. And well, it started around about here where White is completely winning. And I mean, would you guys be able to win this position? That's what I'm wondering. Would you guys as White be able to win this position? It doesn't matter who you play with 9 seconds on your clock. Now I'm going to be honest and say I'm not sure if I would be able to. I know how to checkmate, and I could do it with more time on my clock. You've got to force the king to the dark square to checkmate, and you've got to use what is called the W technique. And I've got a video on my YouTube channel if you want to have a free lesson on it. There's lots of videos out there, but it's one of those endings which I've never had, but it's actually very useful to know. And in this case, well, Grandmaster Alex wasn't able to convert this completely forced win position, which we shouldn't laugh at because it's not easy with 9 seconds on the clock. So anyway, on we go, and we're into round 4. Okay, so we're gonna now have a look in round 4. Well, should I stick with Jabbar? I think we should go and look at a different player. And whoa, what happened there? That was strange. Basically, some blunder occurred in this game between Fedosev, who's one of the top seeds, and it looks like he's doing very well. He's got the extra exchange. He's clearly winning. Nice, easy win there. So we're going to move on. And let's have a look at Runuk. Okay, it's a draw. Now, Runuk, or Runak, might be pronounced, came second last week. So he's a guy to watch out for. And one more game. Well, I think we will go back to... Oh, no. Am I looking at the same rounds? Am I going crazy? I am! I thought the next round had started, but I thought, why have they all finished so quickly? It's because you're mad, Simon. There's actually a break now. It is round 4. And is that right? Or am I... Okay, hang on. Maybe it needs updating. What is happening here? It should be... Round 4 should be going on, right? So why can't we see the games? It has started. Why can't we see the game? Why can't... Okay. So, well, these are round 3 games, right? So let me just refresh and see if we can find the games. It might just need a little bit of refreshing. And we're going to see the games. Oh, come on. We've missed the start of this one. It needed a refresh. This is the game we want to see. Hikaru versus Penguin. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong games there. I suddenly realised that. We're into round 4. So it's all okay. And this is a massive game. In my opinion, 2 of the most... Again, I talk about talent. I think there is such a thing as talent in chess. And these 2 players here, 2 of the most talented players I've seen. We you know, everyone knows how talented Hikaru is. But Penguin, I've seen him do some astonishing things when you know, on his streams. He's so quick and so... I don't know why he's not one of the best players in the world. I really don't. So this is a very interesting game. And if we look at the position, I feel that Penguin is doing absolutely fine. Why do I say that? Well, it's equal material. Again, evaluating positions very quickly is such a good skill to try and learn. Because imagine then you can calculate quicker. You can do everything quicker. So... Why? I mean, black for a start has the 2 bishops. It's equal material. Hikaru is trying to cause some problems with this knight, but now this really should be a draw because we have opposite coloured bishops, and Penguin is doing a very good idea of putting his bishop on this very strong square, d6. But look at the time difference. Hikaru can't flag Penguin, can he? It's impossible. It's impossible to flag him. But I know that Hikaru doesn't like drawing, so he's going to keep trying on. And now he's made a little bit of progress because he's forced that bishop away. But with the black king coming in, it really is a draw with the opposite coloured bishops. If anything, I actually prefer black here. If I was black, I might try to do this. The problem with pushing your pawns is the white rook might get around the back, and Penguin is pushing them. So maybe Penguin's thinking, okay, well, you know, I can still win this. If he gets his pawn to a4... this could actually be very dangerous for white because then he has potential pass pawn on this area of the board. So we are going to just keep on this one. I mean, he's making progress. If anyone's making progress, it's Penguin. It's Penguin. I still think it's going to be a draw. Look at the time. Hikaru playing instantaneous. Of course, this should still be a draw, but hang on a minute. What's happening here? Okay, now Hikaru's decided to swap off. But if anyone's better, again, it is Penguin, because he can try to move his king here and then play the move b3. It is a draw, don't get me wrong, but one thing that gives chances in this is if you're trying to win, a little rule, if you're trying to win an opposite coloured bishop ending, as this is, right, then what you should do, or what you really want to have in the position, you want to keep your pawns on the opposite colour to your bishop. So if you have a light square bishop, you want to put your pawns on dark squares. Why? Because that generally means that your opponent has to put his pawns on light squares. Why is that good? Because you can only attack his pawns if they're on the same colour square as your bishop. So the little rule is, if you're trying to win an opposite colour bishop position, put your pawns on different colour squares to your piece. But now have a look at this. I think black might be winning. Unbelievable. Penguin might be winning this. This is unbelievable. I can't believe. I'd really like to see Hikaru's face now. Not because I'm sadistic, but I'd like to see him be. I don't know. I suppose we all do like a little bit of, you know, our opponents, like, you know, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Let's have a look. I think Penguin's going to do this, and this is what I mean by, okay, what is this winning? Is this winning? I don't know. I don't know. I think it should be winning. It is winning. Yes, it's winning, because the king has to stop this pawn, but then you allow the king to b2, and a2, a1 is winning. So Hikaru has lost. This is a massive, massive result for Penguin. Well done, Penguin. Penguin outplayed Hikaru in the ending there. And exceptional endgame play. I mean, that's what I was saying. He's a bit of a legend. He's so talented. So talented. Hikaru normally wins Title Tuesday, but now it's going to be a struggle. Let's just have a look at maybe the important factor there. So, I mean, you know, I like the way that Penguin started to push over here. And if we go a little couple of moves forwards, this seems okay. This seems just about okay. But now maybe what you have to play. This is a really bad move. Why didn't he play King D3? I don't understand. Because as soon as you play Bishop D3, you just lose a pawn. Why didn't Hikaru? I think Hikaru could have just played King D3, and now this is okay. Because your bishop guards your pawn, but also it stops this move from coming. If you go here now, I take, and if you go a3, which is similar to the game, I can go b4 check, and at least compared to the game, I have an extra pawn, which gives me better drawing chances. So it was just a little oversight of a move there. Unbelievable. Oh, right. So we are getting a little bit of information that he just put maybe in this position. That makes sense. He put the wrong piece on d3. But I don't have any sympathy for him because he was playing so quickly. Does that feel harsh? I think if you play really quickly, you're going to make mouse slips, you know. He had 32 seconds and, you know, he played this move instantaneous. Well, he could, you know, no, he didn't. Sorry, he played this blunder instantaneous. And, you know, he could have played this. So I don't, you know, I think trying to move instantly does have its issues as well. You know, you're going to make things, you're going to make mouse mistakes, and you're going to make bad moves. Simple. Well, okay, so it's round 4. We're going to take a very short break now, and I'm going to be back. There's 11 rounds, and we're only like a third of the way through the competition, so we've got 2/3 to go. Stay tuned, or go and get yourself a cup of coffee or whiskey if it's that time of the evening, or morning if you just feel like it. No, I'm joking, don't do that. And I'll be back again very shortly. See you soon.
looking really ominous, especially given that he's down on time. This is the Magnus Carlsen squeeze. Wow.
Hikaru's playing in front of hundreds of people. Imagine being in his shoes right now. I mean,
up by 4 games. Oh, I can resign. Yeah, Hikaru knows it. It started with 16 players, and it all came down to one man, Magnus Carlsen.
And this is a pretty great matchup. I know people love Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru is the favorite for a reason. He's the beast, an absolute monster. It has been Hikaru's Speed Chess Championship this 2018, Hikaru Nakamura. The overall 1 seed takes it home in the Speed Chess Championship.
Obviously, this is a rematch of last year's SCC final. What a finish, by the way. I mean, that's been the story of the match. Hikaru Nakamura has just kind of out-swindled, out-tricked, and out-calculated Wesley in the critical moment. Oh, dude, that's a nice move. Wesley's shaking his head. Hikaru wins a pawn. He's going to draw this game.
I can't believe it, what just happened.
That is unbelievable. Hikaru Nakamura holding that position. He had no business drawing that game.
Right, so we're just waiting for round 5 now of course, this 11-round Title Tuesday event, 3 minutes plus 1 second move. There's no knockout at the end of it. It's who has the biggest score after 11 rounds. You can see also, if you're wondering what this little number on the right hand side is, of course this is the amount of points that the players have. If you follow the mouse, this is their tie break score, and this, the higher this is, the better they will be placed, and that's done to make it as fair as can be on sort of, you know, if one player plays, let's say 4 players are rated 800, very unlikely, and 4 players play 4 Super Grandmasters, obviously the player who's played the Super Grandmasters should be placed higher. So that's what that score is. But we can see, looking at some of the names now, at basically the 3rd way through, we have Mr. Parham from Iran, really exceptional blitz player and 4 out of 4. We have Jeff, who is, oh my words, I know his name, Korobov, or the teddy bear. Korobov on 4 out of 4, and you just gotta love Korobov. I've heard some of his interviews. He's brilliantly amusing and a fantastic player. Big Fish Fedosev, and Fedosev, I believe, in the Chess.com Speed Chess Championships, knocked out none other than Ali Reza. So he's pretty tasty, as we say in England. He's pretty tasty. Don't mess with him. He's pretty tasty. Yeah, you don't get in the ring with him, mate. I don't think they even say that in England. I'm not sure. Okay, but anyway, round 5 is on. So I think we will go and have a look at Penguin versus Harmov. And this is America versus, obviously, Iran. And Penguin had this great victory over Hikaru in the last round. I'm being told that we don't say that. Okay, well maybe, no, we don't say that. I'm just giving it a bit of drama, all right? Just a little bit. And this is looking fairly solid at the moment. Penguins decided to do the exchange Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit's a little bit trendy at the moment, isn't it? With all the Beth Harmon stuff. I hope they do a season 2. Can we get them to do a season 2? Please, can we get them to do a season 2? I really hope so. I loved it so much. I might even have to rewatch it. You know, who's with me? Did everyone else watch it? Queen's Gambit? If you haven't, what have you been doing with yourselves? It's on Netflix. It's worth Netflix just to get it. It's brilliant. Good. I'm glad some others out there watched it as well. But going back to the position, this is actually a pretty standard position, with Penguin playing quite solid setup, but with a lot of potential, because all the pieces remain on the board. So it's likely tactics will occur later on, and in some situations, white can even exchange on c5, trying to prove that this pawn is a weakness. But black's position is certainly not bad either, because black and Parhamov is a very aggressive player, and he's got a lot of activity. His pieces are on good squares, the rook lined up, and you know, he'd be, I think, reasonably happy with the structure that he's got. So what is white's plan though? Well, I'm just wondering if you, normally in these positions, you're trying to bring either your knight to f5, and again it's improving your pieces, or your knight to f4. But this is also very sensible, because at some point, if the d file does open up, I mean, one thing my dad taught me, actually, I remember one of the first things he taught me, he was a good chess player, is he said, Simon, once you're developed, always line your rook up against your opponent's queen. And at the time I was like, why? There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces in the way. Why would I want to do that? And he's like, well, you know, you look at the games of top players, they often do it, and often things will open up and your rook will be excellently placed, and it's just a good way to improve your position. And you can see here that maybe Penguin is thinking the same. Maybe he can move the bishop now, and his rook is kind of lined up against this. Maybe a check and then bishop f5, or do you allow black to even take this bishop? One move I might consider here is just queen b1. That looks crazy, but I'm getting my queen out of the way of the black rook, and then I want to play around what we call an isolated pawn. This pawn here is a typical isolated pawn. Isolated pawn where it can't be guarded by another pawn, can't be guarded by one of its brothers. So it's isolated, meaning it's a little bit weak and it may be in trouble later on. So structurally speaking, we could say that Penguin has the better structure. Now this is very interesting. Can we go b4? Should we go b4? I'd be very tempted to play b4. No, is this just winning? Very good move, because you can't take it because of the pin, and now you play b4. This looks like b4 is, if b4 is good, it's just winning. We're going to find out. I don't think black should have played this so quickly. Parham played this move instantaneously, and I think that's a mistake. He needed to think about it. I think he had to take here. So Penguin is now thinking, oh, he didn't go for it, he just moved his bishop back. So he didn't believe that b4 was good, but I think b4 must have been good, right? Why not? It looked like a good move to me. Maybe not, I don't know. What am I missing? Why didn't he go b4? What am I missing? Let's have a look one more time. So he played bishop back here, but why did he not play b4? Someone explain to me why he didn't do this move. Why did he not do this move? Because his knight here is very nicely defended. Maybe he's worried about g5, blocking the pin, and then knight takes here. But this really opens up black's king. Okay, well, I'm going to stick with the game, but that maybe was a missed opportunity. And if we go a couple of moves further, we're going to see Penguin has retreated. And you have to ask yourself, what does white achieve by moving his bishop here, just to come back? I don't really like what Penguin's done over the last couple of moves. Check, move the bishop there. He's lost a couple of tempo. Very strange. And he's now going to have to use his tremendous bullet skills. On the other hand, Parham is trying to get rid of his isolated pawn. This is a typical idea. As we've mentioned, this pawn can be very weak. So black is just trying to swap off that pawn. Eventually, oh, he's not. Okay, so he's going here, and he's going to try and play a positional idea, I feel, with something like this. But he has sacked a pawn, so what's his idea? Oh, bishop c4. Bishop c4 is his idea, of course. And then he's going to win the exchange. So he's going for it. But on the other hand, Penguin is going to take on f6, threatening queen h6. Queen takes g7. So if you go bishop c4, this is actually checkmate. And the reason you can take here is because of the pin. But let's stick with the game. Sorry to move away there. It's getting very exciting. And this is the current position where white has 2 pawns for the exchange. So I think actually what Penguin did there was very clever. I mean, he's such a good bullet player. How does anyone be this good? It's insane. And who do I like here? It's equal on material, but I do like white because I always look at king safety. To me, king safety is very important. The white king has 3 defenders. The black king only has 2 defenders. It's a little bit open. So, for example, you always have to watch out for some tactics, the black king. There's also a pass D pawn. White can, at some point, just try running that up the board. But keep an eye on the clock. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. This is going to go down to the wire, I feel. It's going all the way to the wire. Oh, now the queens have come off. That must help black. Because your king is... Okay, but what's he done with his rook? Oh, it can get out of dodge. Just about. Still about... Well, I think it's about even now. Because black must be feeling a little bit better. Because when the queens are off, his king is not as much risk. I say it's looking equal. But again, if I'm going to take anyone, I will take white. Penguin trying to win by bringing his king in. Keep an eye on the clock. Keep an eye on the clock. His king comes in. But now Parham is about to win a pawn. Just keep an eye on the clock. This could go all the way to the wire. He has won a pawn. The rook will get behind, but I've played Penguin many a times, and he is so quick. Is Harry going to win the day? Is it going to win the day? Oh no, this is just too tense. This is too tense. I don't know what's happening here. These pawns very quick as well. This could be anyone's game, right? And now the rook is going to get rid of itself. Black is winning. Unbelievable finish. Black is winning. Parham has won. Oh. Oh, dear. Oh, that was so tense, right? That was so tense. I mean, I have to admit, at the end there, I lost track of what on earth was happening. This kind of position could have gone any way. I think my view of this is that white starts to lose control by exchanging rooks. You really, when you're playing against 2 rooks and you have a rook and a minor piece, you want to really keep 1 rook on the board. That's the general rule, because when you swap off rooks, as occurs here, the knight is just, it's a very bad piece against 1 rook. The 1 rook can certainly outflank the knight. It always has ways of coming around. So I think white, imagine white had a rook on d2 here. If white had a rook on d2, he'd be covering all of his weaknesses. But after now, rook g6, all of a sudden, this is this big problem here. I think if Penguin had more time, he would have seen that even here he can play knight e2, which I think is a very clever move, because the knight on f4 looks like a very good square to me, because it defends g2, it attacks h5, and maybe this is what he should play. But that was a really exciting finish. And that puts Parham at the top. Jabava. Is this going to be Jabava time? In 2nd place. And let me just adjust this a little bit. And well, this is a bunch of extremely strong players on 5 out of 5. Are there any top games going on? We'll just have a look now. There's only 3 games going on, so I think we're just waiting out for the next round. Other people on 5 out of 5. I don't know who this is. Shitem Buliak. Anyone tell me who that is? I don't know. I haven't heard of him before on Chess.com. If you tell me his real name, I might be like, oh yeah. Apparently Exotic Princess on his stream, and you can go and check out his stream. Jabava now streams, is dancing around. I hope he's not dancing like an exotic princess. I hope he's keeping his clothes on. I mean, I just have this picture of, you know, him dressed up as an exotic princess dancing on the stream. Maybe he should do that on one of his streams. What do we reckon? Should. Oh, that's his real name. Oh, it shows you how much I know. That shows you how much I know. I thought that was actually not his real name, and you're telling me now that's his real name. I mean, where do these people come from? Where do these people come from? They're so strong, and I haven't heard of them. Okay, well, we're going to look now at a game of a good friend of mine, and that is Gawain Jones of England. Come on, Gawain. Come on, England. I'm not biased at all. Come on, England. Come on. And he is playing against Jordan van Forest, very talented junior from Holland, who is, I think he's been Dutch champion. And Gawain Jones, well, Gawain is one of the top English players, still a relatively young player. He's just had a child quite recently, and I bet he's itching to play over the board, like all of us. This seems to be a fairly even position at the moment. It must all be theory. This is an interesting move because you're allowing black to take your knight and double your pawns, but then white would get the g file. So he's still allowing this. He's still allowing this capture when Gwaine might try to move his king and get his rook here. So we're going to see this occur. Now, I've played Gwaine dozens of times over the course of my life, obviously being England and other English grandmaster. And one thing I know about Gwaine, maybe queen f5 here is a good move, because he has played it. I kind of like Gwaine's position. One thing I know about Gwaine is do not let him attack. He is a phenomenal attacker, Gwaine is. When Gwaine attacks, he is absolutely relentless, and he loves it. I mean, he's a great positional player, great endgame player now, but he is so sharp. And even though white's pawn structure is pretty ugly, okay, you could also say black's pawn structure is ugly, I can see some chances on the king side. For example, if white can ever get this pawn to f5, that would be my first thought. I think black's going to have to play f5 at some point himself, because f4, f5 is a very strong plan in such a position. And I think this is what he's preparing to play. He's preparing to play f5. He couldn't play it before, because after en passant, maybe this knight's a little bit risky. But if f4 now, there is f5. But also there's other ideas here, like knight f4, and then knight h5. I like that idea. Knight f4, you can't take the knight because it's pinned. And the idea of doing this is not to take this one, but actually to get my knight there and there. Imagine if I got my knight in there. And this is just the kind of idea that I was talking about earlier on the show. If you've been logged in from the start, you will know my idea that with knights, it's not their first square they move to, it's important, it's their long-term potential. Knights are worth, you know, if it was an investment, it'd be a long-term investment rather than a short-term investment. You know, not something you're going to get money back quickly on, but if you get it at the right time, you're going to have a nice little earner when you get time to put your slippers up. But okay, I think now that black's played f5, his position has improved, because we don't have this break here now on the king side. Gwaine's only chance on the king side is breaking with h5, but I think black is going to be able to defend against that. And the pawn here is now Gwaine's next target. He's going for the c6 pawn. Oh, a very interesting move. So after pawn takes here, he wants to go f5, f4. So now Jordan is trying to start a counter-attack. Queen f5, attacking these two pieces. Incredibly interesting. But is this winning? Who's this winning for? Maybe, oh, hang on a minute. This is very complex. Either black is winning a piece, or Gwaine has a good move. The computer is indicating that white is winning. But how? What am I missing? What am I missing here? Why is white winning this? What are we missing? Has the computer gone crazy? Has the computer gone crazy? The problem is black's attacking the bishop and the rook. You can't, this is a fork. You can't defend both of these at the right time. The evaluation bar is never wrong. So Gwaine having a long think here, what can he play? I think to me it looks losing for white, but the computer is saying, Simon, you are a fool. What if we go g6? I mean, maybe we have to. I can just go pawn. Maybe g6 is the way. He's played it. The only move, apparently. And after pawn takes, what is the idea? Are we going bishop g5? Okay, so rook g8. And now rook takes here. And you have to... Oh, hang on a minute. This is just winning. It is winning. g6. I want to have a look at that again. So let's have a look. g6. Now, if the queen takes the rook, we go g7, check, winning. And if black goes pawn takes g6, the problem here, I guess, is this check. And then after king here, you go rook takes c6. If you take the bishop, I take here. And then I go here minimum, winning the queen. So g6 was a brilliant move there from Gwaine. And now after rook g8, rook c6, it must be winning completely for white. Because Jordan's tactic backfired, and he found it. This is a brilliant game, well found from Gawain. I doubt he saw that in advance. Sometimes you see tactics more through desperation than anything else, and I know that myself from being in many a desperate position. Can Jordan somehow survive this? Well, Gawain trying to get his last piece into the attack, so Jordan stops that by playing this c5 move. You can't allow this rook into the attack. I like this move. If this is taken, the rook comes in, so now c4 has to be played. Is there not an immediate win here? But look at the time. Gawain getting shorter time. Is he now thinking about putting the rook on g1? Because if he gets the rook to g1, you can go g7, rook takes, queen takes g7, checkmate. At the moment, you can't play g7 because a rook takes. So he's just trying to get his last piece in the attack. I say his last piece. This goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about reinforcements. If you're attacking, look at your attacking pieces. Can you do anything with them? If the answer is no, what pieces are not working? Your rook on c1. Bring that piece into the game. He's going for the ending. Oh, come on, Gawain. Why are you going for the ending? Don't do it, man. He's gone for the ending. I really don't like that decision because these two pawns are very strong. I don't like that decision at all. Never swap queens when your opponent's king is in more danger than your own. That goes against all the rules. And now Gawain has to sort of fight for a draw. It might be a draw, but don't get the queens off the board. No, man. No, man. No, Gawain. No, come on, Gawain. I'm not biased. Come on, Gawain. I really like Jordan, by the way, as well. I've met Jordan many a time. I've played both of these players. They're lovely, lovely people. And I think this should be a draw, as long as both sides are careful. Rook and pawn endings are notorious for being draws. And if anyone's better, actually now it's white, because this pawn could drop and you've got to... Okay, Gawain may be winning again. What is happening? And he's keeping it very safe. He wants to take here. But these two pawns... It's going to be a draw. This is going to be a draw. And the king is going to get back. It's a draw. That was too much. That was too much for me. That was too much. That was just too much. Very exciting game, that one. Very exciting game. Well played to both players in that one. I think that was one of the most exciting games we've seen. And remember, you can keep an eye on the scoreboard below me. This is the current scores. I'm going to have a little sip of tea now. Make sure those vocal cords are still nice and lubricated for your enjoyment of the Title Tuesday show. Brought to you by Green Tea. There we go. And well, I mean, looking at the score group, just needed to update a little bit. There are so far 2 players on 6 out of 6. Is Jabava still playing? Well, let's have a look. He might well be. Okay, he's now... Well, I'm afraid Jabava, fans of Jabava, me, are going to be a bit upset because he's playing against Parham. And he is... Well, he's a piece down. And the problem with this position is it must be winning for white. At some point, this pawn on c4 will be lost. And Black's only hope is to cause some problems here. But hang on a minute, what's he done? I think he's blundered, because now Black is winning a pawn. He's going to win this pawn, and can White still win this position? I don't know. He's got the right coloured bishop for this pawn. What I mean by that is, if you win all of these 3 pawns, which is very possible, then this pawn will queen. But I think it might be a draw. How does... White should be the one trying to win, but the bishop has got to keep guarding this one. And if your king gets a little bit too ambitious and comes around here, don't forget about the f-pawn. This f-pawn is very strong. I feel this is a draw. I think it could be a draw. That would be a great save for Jabava. Great save. I mean, Black can't win. I mean, I know White must be winning. Why did he push this pawn? He shouldn't have pushed this pawn, because now he's going to lose this pawn, is he? Bishop g5 is coming. Zugzwang. This is Zugzwang, and he's winning. Oh, no, that was a game. That was... Let's have a look just at the end there. So we had this position where after bishop g5, f4 check was played. And this was, I feel, a really big mistake, because now that pawn becomes vulnerable. When the pawn was on f5, it was guarded, but not anymore. So I think in this position, had black just played some king move, he may have kept the draw, but I'm not convinced anyway. It was tough position for Jabava. So, okay, we're halfway through now, and you can see there's 3 players on Maximum, Parham, Dropstone. Now, let me get this right. That can't be his real name, can it? I did this before, didn't I? I said, okay, well, when I work out what his handle is, I'll know who he is. Now, if his name is Dropstone DP, I'm absolutely an idiot. And everyone knows I'm an idiot anyway, but that can't be his name. So who is Dropstone? Someone can do the research there. David Paravan. Okay, very strong player. And, well, you've got lots of strong players here. Okay, one more game going in this round. And this is Nordibek with the piece extra. He's got the extra piece. If he wins this, he will also get to 6 out of 6. But it is a draw. It is a draw. It is a draw. All black has to do is get the rook behind. Get the rook as far away as he can. And he's done it. This is the way to draw. Just keep checking. Very easy. This ending was quite a funny story. Bobby Fischer had this kind of position with the white pieces. And, oh, what happened there? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, my words. This was unbelievable. White played King D6, and black could have just taken this one. Because if check, Rook E8. And you can't win this position. And he played King D6, and black did not take it. Black played Rook E1, checkmate. Wah, wah, wah. I need a button with that sound effect. How can we arrange that? I need a button with that one. I need that button so I can just go. Wah, wah, wah. I do need a sound effect panel. I need to sort that out. That was unbelievable. So we now have Nordibek, who he always impresses me in the titled Tuesday events. He always impresses me. And Nordibek is now up into, first equal. So, whew, okay, let's move on. So I think they must have the next round, must have started. And we're going to look at 2 players. Well, let's have a look at one player we haven't looked at yet. And that is Dropstone. So Dropstone has maximum points, but so does Nordibek. Now, if you don't know who Chess Warrior is, now Dropstone I don't know so well, but he's a very strong Russian player, reasonably young. Grandmaster, of course, both his players are. But Nordibek, he does so well in these events. He's always up there, always crushing. One of the youngest grandmasters in the world. Everyone talks about Ali Reza and his potential. Obviously, Ali Reza Frajuja is incredibly talented, but this guy here, in my opinion, could also be world champion. I mean, I've seen him play and he just impresses me more and more. But saying that, I do really like White's last idea. This concept of doubling pawns can be quite good occasionally because you get the open file, but there's always downsides. This square on c5 can now not be covered. So black would love to go pawn b6 here because that would cover c5, but he can't. So white always has the idea of putting his knight into that square. And positionally speaking, if white gets a knight to this square, he's going to be very happy. And because he can always exchange off the one defender of that square, which is the bishop here, the knight will eventually get there with what I think is a nice advantage for white. Other problems are white has the space on the king side, so later on white can try to do a pawn break, but black doesn't really have any pawn breaks. These pawn breaks are not very efficient in this position. So white has the pawn break, white has the square. If I was Nordibek, I would be a little bit concerned here. So a very sensible move, just guarding the knight and making sure the rook can never win the pawn. And this is the difference between these pawns compared to these 2 pawns. And well, these 2 pawns can't guard each other over here because they're doubled, but these two pawns can guard each other. They're like very good friends, supporting each other, linking arms as they guard the mounting. But okay, can white keep the pressure up? Naughty Beck has a little bit of a time advantage here. What would I do if I was white here? Well, I would be thinking about putting my knight there immediately on c5. Certainly I'd be doing that. I would consider taking the bishop, but I don't really want to undouble my opponent's pawns. I'd only take the bishop if I'm really happy with my knight being there. Really happy with my knight being on that square. I'd also maybe think about trying to play this move because this break looks good. I don't want to... Remember, when you play pawn moves, you always weaken squares. So I wouldn't want to play g5. This would be a horrible move. Look at the squares you weaken when you move your pawns. Because if I move this pawn, then the black knight can come to this tremendous square. So I'd be wanting to move this pawn. So I want to be going rook f3 in here. But at the moment, white is just concentrating on the queen side, and he's now taken off this bishop. That surprises me because I really like the knight. I'm surprised he's given up that knight. That really does surprise me because that knight was so good, and he's undoubling these pawns. So the only time you'd do that, I mean, that might be a very clever idea, but the only time you do a move such as this is when you're really sure of what you're doing next. Okay, I don't like that idea at all because that knight was so good. The knight was so good. I mean, maybe he's going to try to get the other knight around, but d4, he can't do that because his knight's defending d4. He's still better because he has the c5 square, he has the 1 square, he has a break, but I still don't like the way this has gone. And why that move? I don't understand these moves. These moves are so peculiar. I mean, why did you put the rook on? Okay, so he is coming here. He's going for f5, but he could have done that a long time ago. 19 seconds. Black's position is improving. And now white trying to break over here. But Naughty Beck, so good defensive-wise for someone so young. I mean, normally youngsters, they don't like defending because, you know, you're so optimistic when you're young, aren't you? You're like, you can take on the world. You can take risks, drive your car at 400 miles per hour around bends. It's only later in life when you've had a crash or two where you start to get a little bit more pessimistic. So normally I think in chess, you know, chess relates to life. I think like when you're a youngster, you take more risks and you're a bit more crazy because you haven't lost so many horrible games. But that means you're not as good at defending. But one thing that I'm very impressed that Naughty Beck, in my opinion, is turn this position down. He's locked up the king side, so now white doesn't have any breaks on the king side, and if anything, black has this little bit of pressure over here. So I don't know, there's a lot of play left because now this, okay, what's happening? Time situation. Let's just keep an eye on the time, shall we? Let's keep an eye on the time. It's okay. This is a very strong move. Hang on a minute. He shouldn't have allowed that. Knight b6. Oh, this bishop f8. Naughty missed this idea. This is a tremendously strong idea. This could, I think this is a game winner. This is a game winner. It's changed again. Dropstone is going to get this one. He's going to, I mean, this pawn is too strong. Okay, so he's just getting ready. Was that really necessary? To sacrifice? I don't know. Black's last chance is to try to get something going with a c pawn, but this move again very clever because it stops knight b4 and rook a1 checkmate. I think this is game over. This pawn is just coming up the board. Oh, very nice endgame play from the Russian here, and very precise, stopping the check. And Naughty Beck is still trying some tricks here, but white defends this knight. White is basically stopping the black knight coming here and coming here. The black knight has no way in. Very nice technique from white. Very impressive technique. So there we go. I mean, the scores are 2 players on 7 out of 7, and we'll just see if there's any other games going on. Let me just update. Well, we have, let's go quickly to Gwaine Jones versus last week's winner, Jeffery Xiong. Jeffery Xiong won this event last week. Other players we can see in the score group. I don't know who former prodigy is. That might be David Navarra. Is that right? Possibly David Navarra. I can see the Czech Republic flag. I'm assuming it's him. Runak came second last week, another contender. But we go into this ending. What happened? What happened to Jeffrey's rook? Hang on a minute. What happened to his rook? I look at the scores for 1 second, then he drops a rook. What happened there? What happened? I don't understand. And I think this is now very close to be winning for white. Can Gwaine win this one? This is probably a technical draw. Probably a technical draw. King and bishop and rook versus rook. But I think Gwaine's playing really well, but he's not winning these kind of positions where, you know, if he's going to win the whole event, you've got to win these kind of positions. And now with the rook defending on the 3rd rank, I think Jeffery is going to hold the draw. I think Gwaine did miss a win, but he can still, I mean, this is still very dangerous. I mean, why did he move his king in? He's got no time. And I think they could be getting near the 50 rule mark soon. Bishop here. Come on, Gwaine, you gotta, you know. Yeah, okay, this is the way to do it. And then get your king to e6 or c6 and play bishop c5. This is still okay. This is winning. This is now winning. He's done it. Gwaine has done it. If he finds the right, oh no, is it? I don't know. Oh, I thought it was winning, but you have rook here guarding the check. This is the kind of ending which I need a bit more timing. It's one of those ones you either know or you don't know, and it's a draw by the 50 move rule. When I thought it was winning, I thought Gwaine had tricked him, and it looked like Gwaine had made great progress with this move, but I think this is a big mistake. Let me think of this as winning. I should know this one, because after this move, suddenly you can check and go rook here, and you can block the checkmate idea by putting the rook here. So let's just have a look. So maybe there was a winning idea around here. I think this is good, but I think the rook now goes the wrong way. Can you go this way? How do you win this one? I'm just trying to see if I can remember my technique. Or do you come back here even? I should know this, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I don't know it. We're hearing some big news that Naka is crying. Oh, Gwaine is black. Oh, it shows you how much I know. I thought Gwaine was white there. Because look, I'm looking at, I mean, with these things, you can obviously, the board gets twisted around. But okay, well, luckily it doesn't make any difference because it's a draw. But, God, shows you, I'm getting really confused now. I don't even know where my black and whites are. Where are my black and whites? Who's black? Who's white? You know, what's going on? Where am I going? Oh, chess is confusing. I mean, I think clearly my place is sitting here commentating rather than playing. Imagine if I did that in a game. I start moving my opponent's pieces because I think they're my pieces. You know, this has actually happened in a game. I saw a very drunk player once do this. He was really wasted, and he started moving his opponent's pieces because they thought they were his. I think he was tripping or something personally. But I mean, that would be, oh God, yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Is that allowed? No, it's certainly not allowed to move your opponent's pieces. Round 8 is off. Okay, let's not lose anything. And I just want to have a look at the scores. I want to quickly update the scores, and we're going to go to, is it up? Are they? I need to refresh again. Sometimes it needs a little refresh. Let's not fall for that trick that I fell for last time. And we had just been looking, oh no, okay, so we're in to, I'm going to have a look. So there's 2 players on 7. We got to look at the 2 leaders. So we're going to leave it on the 2 leaders on 7.7. Talking about touching your opponent's pieces, I don't know, when I was about 18, I was at a tournament in London, And by the way, this position here seems fairly even. It seems like it's an English opening. Again, guess the opening. I can guess it's in English. The C-pawn's been exchanged. But I was playing a tournament in London once, and there was about 150 players in this tournament hall. And it was very near a famous chess club, the King's Head Chess Club in London. And it was in this big sort of hall in London. But the reason that it was called the King's Head Chess Club is because the chess club met at the King's Head pub. And I was sitting on this board, and on the board next to me, this guy stumbled into the table, like stumbled in, sat down, and he was clearly drunk. And he was playing against an opponent who had a nervous habit of adjusting his pieces. So when you play over the board, if your opponent's piece is on, or your piece is on a funny square, you can say adjust or shadoub, the French word, and you can move their piece so it's centrally on the square. But this guy was doing it. He was doing it about 5 times a move. So every time the drunk guy made a move, he'd be like shadoub, 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 and it was like, what are you doing? And the drunk guy said, can you stop? Can you stop touching my pieces, please? Stop touching my pieces. And the guy kept on doing it. And the drunk guy goes, I told you, stop touching the pieces. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to concentrate, and I just hear this massive slap. And the guy got up, and he'd just gone whoosh, and slapped the guy who was shadoubing around the face, and the guy was just knocked off his chair. Everyone in the hall was looking, and it was like, what is going on? The police were called. I was sort of trying to concentrate on some tactical position, and the guy got thrown out. A little bit of an overreaction, but it shows you what happens if you try to shadoub or adjust your pieces too much. Or maybe you shouldn't, have chess tournament. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Oh, the joys of live chess. How I miss a live tournament. Are you guys all ready to play some live chess again? I can't wait until COVID goes and does one, and we can just play over the board again. Oh, please. Okay, well, look at the time. Going back to the game, or going to the game. I haven't actually looked at a lot of the game so far. You can see that Parham has 22 seconds. Ooh, 22 seconds. I do have my own Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv GingerGM. GingerGM is like my nickname. Just go twitch.tv/GingerGM. You can follow my stuff there. So I think in this position, I mean, it's getting very complex. Now white is trying to come in over here, and I like white. It seems like white has now got into black's position, and white might be able to come around the back, but do keep an eye on the clock. 13 seconds against 1 minute 43. This is the big problem. White has to play nearly instantaneous. Luckily, Parham is a really good blitz player, bullet player, should I say. This is Parham from Iran. Iran's one of Iran's top players. Loves listening to a bit of rap music when he plays, Iranian rap. And he's playing against David Paravan of Russia, who's obviously having a great tournament at the moment. Now, many pieces that are getting exchanged off, and we've seen David's, the player of the black side's endgame play in the past. And I have to say, I don't know why Parham's done this. I think his time is getting to him, because look, there's a big pass pawn here, and black has a very simple idea. It was Philidor who once said pass pawns must be pushed, and that's exactly what this little guy is doing, right? He's getting pushed. And I think it was the famous Sarawan who said, push it, baby. Push it, baby. Can I do a Sarawan voice? I wish I could do a Sarawan voice, but I can't. If I had Sarawan's voice, I would listen to myself and repeat all day long and all night long. But I unfortunately, I got my voice, and I can't listen to myself. It's terrible. I don't know how you guys can do it. How can you guys put up my voice? How can you do it? How can you do it? You're doing a good job there. Or maybe you got me on mute. Maybe that's wise. So the game goes on, but look at the time. Just keep an eye. 1 minute left. And look at that pawn. That pawn is just one square away from queening. And there might even be some tactic with something coming to c3. And this is just winning. It's just winning because now the queen comes to b1, the a pawn queens, and black's king. The only thing that white can try is some perpetual check, but I don't think it's going to work. 2 queens on the board, and we now have a clear leader. Dropstone, David Paravan of Russia. I can't remember him winning this tournament before, and he's got 8 out of 8. I also can't remember anyone getting maximum in this tournament. Just to remind you, it is 11 rounds. There's 3 rounds to go. We're 2/3 of the way through the tournament. 3 rounds to go, and it's 3 minute plus 1 second move. There's no playoff at the end. It is simply 11 rounds, and there is one player on 8 out of 8. I'd love to see a maximum. I haven't seen that. We have Exotic Princess at the moment, and here Exotic Princess is, it looks to me, beating MVL. Is he going to do another dance again? He's a piece up and he just needs to bring his king in. His king will get to f4, or maybe he'll come this way. This of course is winning, but can he win it? Oh, this is a very clever move. Now his king can come. Now his king can come. No, he's going backwards. I would have kept the knight there. Keep your knight on this square. MVL was somehow holding this position together, but he's a whole piece down. Whole piece down here. I mean, how is he defending this? It's completely winning for black. But he's somehow defending. He's got to get his king in. Get your king in. Why is your king going this way? Jabava, try to get your king in. Get it in. Get it in. Get it in. Get the king in. He has. I think he's found the right way to do this. If he can get his king in, he needs to win the pawn on f3. And now the white king can't come up. So he's pushing this king back. But MVL still defending. He's still being very resilient. Now the king comes, surely. And as soon as the king comes, it's a draw. Unbelievable. Is it? Oh no, black is winning. Black is winning. Oh no, he queens at the same time. I can't count. Oh dear. These endings are so hard to calculate. And of course, I'm sure that the Exotic Princess was winning that one, and MVL just so resilient, and held on for a draw. So pretty impressive stuff there. Unlucky to Jabava there. Now we are going to have a little break after round 8, so do stay with us. Go and get yourself another top up of whatever you like. I'm going to call a break now. I'll be back in 3 to 5 minutes, probably less, with the last 3 rounds, and which of these guys here, and I think it's going to be a race. You have to be on 7 points, so it's going to be a race between everyone you see on the board here. Which of those players is going to win it this week? I'd like you guys to discuss that in the chat. Where's my boy Anish doing? Where's Anish? Oh, Anish, where are you? You've gone away. He's gone away. I'm now going to change allegiances to either Verdi Nort, Gawain Jones, or one of my favourite players of all time, Alexei Shirov. Great to see the legend Alexei up there. And we're going to have a look, I think, at Alexei's game after the break, because he's Mr. Fire on the board himself, a legendary attacking chess player. Back soon. See you all in a couple of minutes.
looking really ominous, especially given that he's down on time. This is the Magnus Carlsen squeeze. Wow.
Hikaru's playing in front of hundreds of people. Imagine being in his shoes right now. I mean,
Up by 4 games. Well, I can resign. Yeah, Hikaru knows it. It started with 16 players, and it all came down to one man, Magnus Carlsen.
And this is a pretty great matchup. I know people love Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru is the favorite for a reason. He's the beast, an absolute monster. It has been Hikaru's Speed Chess Championship this 2018, Hikaru Nakamura. The overall 1 seed takes it home in the Speed Chess Championship.
Obviously, this is a rematch of last year's SCC final. What a finish, by the way. I mean, that's been the story of the match. Hikaru Nakamura has just kind of out-swindled, out-tricked, and out-calculated Wesley in the critical moment. Oh, dude, that's a nice move. Wesley's shaking his head. Hikaru wins a one. He's going to draw this game.
I can't believe it what just happened.
That is unbelievable. Hikaru Nakamura holding that position. He had no business drawing that game.
That's going to be exciting, isn't it? I mean, it's going on at the moment, the Chess.com Speed Chess Championships, and I hope you guys have been following it as I have. Not as much as I want to. I seem to be pretty busy, but I hope it's a Magnus versus Hikaru final, don't you? I mean, no offense to the other players. I got a respect for all the guys up there, but that would be so enjoyable to watch. So enjoyable to watch. Okay, so we're now just getting ready for the last 3 rounds, and we only have 1 player on 8 out of 8, and that is Parayan. Let me get this right. Now, my pronunciation is not good. Parayan, is that maybe better? I apologize. The thing is, being dyslexic, I kind of have to hear it first before I can pronounce it right. This is, pronunciation. So if I see it written out, I can't pronounce it right. So when I see words, I say it how I see it, which is not always right. If that's your little intro into dyslexia, if that makes any sense. Parayan. I'll go para. Let's go para. Let's call him a para, right? Okay, we'll stick with that. And he's leading on 8 out of 8. And then we have this big group on 7 out of 8. So it really is very, very open. And when I mean open, any of these guys on 7 out of 8 could win it, because you just have to beat the top guy, and then everything changes. All the seeding changes. So who are your picks in the top? Who are you going to pick to take this one down? Another thing I would like to say, the reason there's a break after round 4 and round 8 is that they do a fair play check. So they have a look at all the players, any odd things going on. And you can trust me that anyone who's cheating is thrown out. You'd be amazed at how many title players have been thrown off Chess.com. Honestly, it's incredible, the numbers. So I don't know why people do it. It's really not wise. Don't be tempted at home. You'll get caught out. Chess.com spend a tremendous amount of money trying to keep it a fair play site and as fair for everyone as possible. You're going to get cheats, but as I said before, I've heard people complaining, oh, there's many more cheats on Chess.com than anywhere else. Well, that's the same kind of argument as saying there's many more prisoners in jail than anywhere else. You can't really blame it on the jail, can you? You've got to blame it on the prisoners. So, yes. Okay, so we're just waiting. Hopefully the games are going to start soon. We'll be in there very quickly. And I think the player I would like to look at next is Alexei Shirov, because I'll be honest, I guess most of you know who Alexei is. He's one of my favorite players of all time. It was the anniversary of Mikhail Tao's, I believe, death, but either death or becoming world champion yesterday, I think, or birth, something like that. It was an anniversary, but I didn't even look what it was an anniversary of. And Alexei Shirov, who we're going to go to now, let me just see if I can find him quickly. Alexei Shirov, oh look at that, he plays g5 on. I mean, look at him, he's an absolute lunatic. Alexei Shirov is from the same, well, he's been called the next Mikhail Tal, and look at him go. He's going g5 g4. This is exactly what we want to see. And he's playing the young and upcoming Jordan van Forest, who we've seen a lot already in this tournament. And now Alexei is gaining space with this big advance and his knight coming in here. This is just the kind of position that Shirov with the black pieces will enjoy playing. Shirov likes attacking, he likes having more space, he likes being super aggressive, and I expect he will aim to castle queenside here. Now, of course, I'm a little bit biased. I've played Shirov 2 or 3 times myself, and if just look at his games, he's just one of the all-time great attacking players. And now Jordan's maybe going to be one of those players in the future, but he's a bit younger. But I like what Jordan's done here. A very good way to meet a wing attack is to break in the center of the board, and this is what White has done. White has broken in the center of the board with this great move d3 d4, and if he can get his knight to that square, you can see how much danger the black king could be in. So black now has to rush to get his king out of the center. You can't leave your king in the center, but Jordan very sensibly just saying, okay, look, I'm going to exchange queens. You're scaring me, Shirov. You are Shirov. Your pawns may be overextended, if anything, because these pawns may be only good if you can open up the white king and get some attack, but that's not possible here. So I think Jordan's played extremely cleverly to get this position. Jordan he's basically saying, okay, I've done, I mean, the key break here, let's go back. The key break is this d4 break. This was a brilliant move, because without playing such an aggressive move, White would just be huddling in a bad position. And that's, again, like, I think this is an important lesson for everyone. Jordan, by the way, keeping the queens on the board, very interesting. He's now saying to Shirov, well, your king's in the middle, you're the one who's got the weak king. And I mean, yeah, he's going for this. So one thing I was going to say, very important lesson is, like, a lot of you guys watching, you're probably trying to improve your chess, and I've noticed over my years of like training and doing videos and trying to help people improve at chess, that one of the most common mistakes that players play is not playing actively enough. Lots of people who are stuck in the rut and can't improve, that may or may not be you. One of the biggest mistakes is they're not willing to take risks, and they always play too passively. One thing you'll see in nearly all the games in this event, the players try to play as actively as they can. They're always trying to come forwards, always trying to put pressure on their opponent, and this is something we can all learn from. Always try to play actively. Obviously, if you're playing actively and it doesn't work, then that's a different story, but try to play actively. I can't say it enough. Always go for attack, always go for tactics. Now back to the game. Well, things have changed, and Shirov has grabbed a pawn. He has grabbed a pawn. He's grabbed the pawn on b2, and the white knight comes back, and well, it must be said that black's position is looking very good. A pawn is a pawn. It might be under some danger now. I like this idea, but okay, so it's not a pawn down now, so this pawn has dropped. Very interesting position. Black trying to get a past a pawn, and I think Jordan is going to try to somehow get a past h pawn. He's got to try pushing this pawn up the board. Shirov thinking, can he take here? No, because that would allow knight takes d5, so he's first cementing these two things in the board, and Jordan playing against that central position. Well, I mean, it's looking good for Shirov. It's looking good, but the one thing you have to worry about with an older, I mean, I'm not being rude, but younger players are much sharper. They can calculate much quicker than their opponents, and this is one thing to worry about here. But okay, well, now he's dropped a pawn, and the h, oh, hang on a minute, what's happening here? Who's better? It's going to be a race between Harry and Ari. Ari is the a pawn. Ari is the brother of Harry. That's the H pawn because it's on the H file. So there goes Harry. Well, if Harry's gone, all of a sudden it's turning. It's turning in Jordan's favour. But also, hang on a minute, there is Derek the D pawn as well. But it's white to move. And white now bringing his king in. Okay, so I don't know. This is a real race. It's a real race situation. Who's going to... I mean, who is better here? I don't know. This D pawn, very dangerous. But the H pawn's dangerous. It's a complete race. Rook takes B2, threatening mate. But now the white king gets in front of the pawn to stop it. And it all depends. White has a very simple idea. Shear off, I think, going for a draw. Probably is a draw. It probably is a draw with correct play. But is a draw good enough for them on the score group? Because if you want to get up there and win the tournament, you really need to get some wins on the board. And I think this is what Jordan's thinking. Jordan's thinking, should I risk it? And Shearoff takes the draw. So bit of an up and down game there, but I think a draw is a fair result in the end, because if either side plays on for the win, they're probably going to end up losing, and there's no point doing that, of course. So very exciting game, and let's now go to the leader on 8 out of 8. Can he get to maximum? And he's playing against this very talented young Indian, Runak, who came second last week. And it seems like the white king is totally exposed at this moment in time. If Dropstone loses this game, then it really opens up the tournament, because he's the only one who can get maximum, the only one. He had 1 point lead going into this, but I think he's going to lose. Simply the white king and is too weak, and the queen is a queen. The queen is a queen. Raw nuke. Okay, well, you know, I've gone on about my pronunciation, and black has won. Very good result there, and that changes the tournament a lot. These two players, there's loads of draws. Look at all those draws there. An incredible amount of draws. Okay, but there's still games going on. And another critical game. Oh, Parham jumps up, and that must put Parham up there. 3 players on 8 out of 9 with 2 games to go. Any other big games there? Let's have a look. Jeffrey, is he up there? How many points is he on? 7 points. If one of these players wins here, they also get into first place. And let's not forget, Jeffrey won this tournament last week. He won this tournament last week. Can he do it again? I mean, if you win Title Tuesday 2 weeks in a row, that's a pretty legendary result. Now, I just keep an eye on the clocks. One of the reasons Blitz Chess is so fun is literally because of the clock. Again, this must be a draw. It's a rook ending. Oh, hang on a minute. Now white's going to win a pawn. Can he win another pawn? Jeffrey is winning. He's won all these pawns. That was like Pac-Man. And he's won. He has won. So can Jeffrey... I mean, if he can win it 2 weeks in a row, that is just exceptionally amazing. But he gets to 8 out of 9, and I think that's most of the games over for this round. God, it's going to be an exciting finish. We can keep an eye on some of the other finishes, but these guys are not competing for the top place. And just looking at the top lead, so 4 players on 8 out of 9 here. This group on 7.5, if they want to win the tournament, they probably have to win their next 2 games. Keep an eye on the number on the right hand side. This is what you call your tie-break score. This tournament is called a Swiss event. One of the things I always get when someone who doesn't play chess asks me about chess, I say, oh, I'm off to play a chess tournament. They're like, oh, right, will you be there long? Or do you think you'll be knocked out in the first round? And I'm like, well, you don't actually get knocked out in the first round. They're like, you don't get knocked out? Ooh, you're very lucky, aren't you? I'm like, it's called... And then you try to explain how a chess tournament normally works. That you play for a week, you play, your score gets accumulated. The amount of times I've had to explain that nowadays is someone just asked me, oh, so you're going to play a chess event, will you get locked out in the first round? I'd be like, yeah, probably. It's so much easier than explaining how a Swiss event works. You get accumulated score, you play people on the same score, you play 1 game a day, there's a tie-break system in place where it's accumulation of your opponent's scores, taking in the factor how many whites and blacks you have. You might have to take the mean average of that multiplication when you go into it. Nah, it's easier just to say, yeah, might get knocked out. We'll see how it goes. Just so much easier. So this is a Swiss event, and we are now into the next round. Who are we going to take? Well, I think I might have to just refresh the page again. And when we do the little refresh again, we're going to have a look at the leaders. And I think we're going to have a look at the guy who came second last week. And Runak is playing against Parham. These are two of the leaders. The other game we'll have keep an eye on. Remember, a win in this round is so critical. If you win in this round, you are laughing. People are shouting for Jeffery. Okay, well, we might go there. If we have a couple more shouts for Jeffery, I will go over there. But we'll have time. We will have time to look at that one as well. I can see in the chat also, some people are saying, why is Hikaru not playing Title Tuesday? Well, he was playing, but he didn't play for long, I feel. Don't ask me how the tie-break score works. I don't know. don't. Jeffery. Okay, but then someone's saying Ranuk. Okay, I'll switch. Let's go to Jeffery because there's not many moves happening here, right? So we're going to now have a look at Jeffery's game. And Jeffery won this last year. He's playing Dropstone, who lost his last round but has won every other round. This looks a little bit more exciting, this position. Which side do I like? Well, immediately I kind of like White's position because his two rooks are in the middle of the board, and you can look at Black's rook, that rook over there, out of play, but also just seems like there's a little bit of pressure. The queen quite actively placed. This knight, it might have a chance to take that one. The bishop here is pointing at the black king, so I think black is okay, but if I was going to pick a color to be, it would be white. Who is the player of the black pieces? Is Russian Grandmaster Paroyan, and he is a youngish Grandmaster from Russia. David, I believe the first name. Not sure how old he is, but you guys can do your research. You can always go on to Chess.com and click on their name to get their details. If I start clicking on their name here, I'll probably break down the system and it will all go pear-shaped. And we don't want it going pear-shaped now, do we, Sam? No, we don't. We don't want it going pear-shaped. 22 years old. Well, there you go. Okay, so it's a young man's game. We are here, and let's just have a look. Is there any more moves in the other game? Now we're going to go back to the other leaders just to see how things are developing. And this also looks fairly even at the moment. I think Parham will be quite happy with the black pieces. He's grabbed himself a pawn, and he's got this knight here. This knight is a very nice piece because it can't be attacked by a pawn. So in some ways, I like black's position. Let's go back to Jeffery's game. Lots of things happening. I'll just update and then we will stick with Jeffery's game. It looks a little bit more interesting. Loads of pieces getting swapped off, and we have an ending. We've seen that David's end game play has been quite exceptional so far. Now we want to stick with the leaders at the moment because these four players this is the penultimate round. Now I have to say I really like black in this one. I'm going for a win for black because look at this bishop. This bishop is really bad. This is a case where the bishop is just a defensive piece. In the ending, if your pawns are stuck on the same color square as your bishop, it often means you've got a bad ending. Why is that? Because your bishop and the pawns get in the way of each other. And also in this situation, black has his pawns on the opposite color square to the bishop. That can be good for black because this bishop can't attack the pawns. But more importantly, black's king very active. And look at this guy. This guy is coming. Maybe king d4 to stop bishop d3. This seems to be winning. Just king d4. But you can also just go king takes c4. Why not just go king takes c4? And then the e-pawn comes. I think Jeffery is in a lot of trouble here. He's in a lot of trouble. And he's first gone here. Okay, black's done a little bit of calculation. He might just want to bring the king to d2, which he's going for. White's only hope is to cause some problems with his a-pawn. but it's not easy to do that. The a pawn is a long way from queening, but this is the one hope white has, pushing Ari the a pawn up the board, but I can't see it working. White has to deal with a simple idea of knight takes g3. He's going to have to give up his piece for that pawn. It must just be completely winning for black here. Anyone, I don't know. I think this is over. By the way, MVL is still in the chase by winning his last round. He's on 8.5, but I think it's going to be David here who's chasing up there. Okay, so can he win? Okay, what's he doing? He's doing some weird maneuvering here. Oh, this is beautiful. That is a beautiful maneuver. Oh, that is actually stunning. I just need to look at that again. This is amazing. King d2, bishop g4. Now, let me just think the way I'm thinking here. I'm thinking if I was black here, I'd go e2. And if I play e2, white has to give up the bishop. And I'd be thinking, okay, this must be winning. But actually, after king b6, it's quite hard to stop that pawn. Now, what David has done, and this is so amazing, I have to say, he's suddenly realized that the bishop is very unstable. And he's thought, well, if I can take this knight off the board, this is a very good technique to improve your chess, and put it on any square, where would I put it? And if you put it on e5, the bishop has no way to stay on this diagonal. So he's moved that knight through a series of brilliant maneuvers to e5, and now the bishop has no safe square. It can't go to any of these squares, and if it goes here, you just play g6. That is really, really brilliant way to win. And in this way of playing, white can't even give his bishop up for the e pawn. Stunning endgame play. Now, the other game at the top is still going on, and we have one leader, David Paravan, and he is the young 22-year-old Russian at the top and 9 points. If one of these guys wins, then they will join them. It looks like it should be a draw because of the opposite colour bishops. I'm so impressed by that last ending. I'm still a bit speechless. I don't know how many players would have seen that knight maneuver, the little bit of triangulation. I mean, that was one of the most, I have to say, stunning finishes to an endgame that I've seen. It was really quite astonishing. Really astonishing. Very, very nice. Okay, so going back to this position, black very short time. In actual fact, now white has some chances because white is coming for the b pawn, and I don't know if there's any way that black can guard his b pawn. And if white comes and takes this b pawn, then this one will surely win. So king c6, I don't know if he could have played this better. Why did he? Okay, king c6 takes here, takes here. Can the b pawn be stopped? We're going to shortly find out. Wow. Okay, he's grabbing. I think white has very good winning chances because they're connected past pawns, and black is going to have to put his bishop here at some point, but I think this one will just come. a5, a4. I think this is the simplest way. Just push the a pawn. It's completely winning. Runak is going to win. He's going to jump into the lead. He's going to jump into the lead. That is quite astonishing. And Parham will be really upset with the way that he didn't hold that one. But going back to the scores, we now have two leaders which I think have not played. Let's just see what other games are going on. Is Shirov still playing? No, none of the top guys are in there. So there's one round left. One round left. And it's all coming down to the encounter between two young players. Dropstone, David Paravan from Russia, 22 years old, and I somehow managed to click the wrong button there. Don't know how that worked. What, you're complaining because you heard me twice? You're complaining because you heard me twice? Isn't that a good thing that you hear me twice? I just did that for the harder hearing out there. You know, let's help the harder hearing. You know, some people need to hear me twice because it doesn't get across to them the first time. All right. Anyway, fixed. Not a big deal. So it's going to be a big last game. If these guys draw, will they have a quick draw? Now, last week, just going back to then, I was very, very critical of Runak in second place because he had a quick draw in the last round, and that did guarantee him second place, but he gave up all his chances of winning by having a draw. So one thing I'm really hoping, I mean, if these guys have a quick draw, are we going to be upset, people? Oh, they've already played each other. Okay, thank you, Rakesh. How you doing, Rakesh? Hope you're doing all right. So they've already played each other. Okay, that's good to know. So they can't play. I was probably commentating on that game. I just totally forgot. So they can't play each other again. Oh, Gawain Jones is up there. Come on, Gawain. Come on, England. Come on, you can do it. I'm not biased at all. I'm a commentator. Right, well, it's the last round we're in. Sorry. Okay, let's come on. I'm missing the action. We're going to go and have a look. I'm going to get both those games up. Big game here. Runak versus MVL is one of those games. And the other one, let me just find the other one, is Dropstone. Where is Dropstone? He hasn't finished already as his Dropstone. Don't tell me he's agreed a quick draw. He's agreed a quick draw. Is that right? He couldn't have done. I can't find his name. Someone help me. Where is Dropstone? Oh, he's there. Okay, good. We don't want no quick draws today, people. Okay, so we have these two games going on, and I don't want to flick too much because I think it confuses everyone. I would love to see Gawain Jones, but we've got to stick with the people who are leading, and that is Dropstone and Runak. And we have Mamajarov with the white pieces against Dropstone, and Mamajarov is one hard player to play. But Runak has got MVL, and MVL, well, we all know how strong MVL is. So which game should we look at? I think we will stick with this one for now, and we will try to go, if there's any action, I'll be able to tell you and we can update. Remember, if either of these players win, great chance to win the tournament outright. Great chance. And now we see Runak playing some very clever tactics. If the pawn takes the knight, the queen comes in, and that will be check, and it will be forking the king and the rook. And I think White's idea is to centralize the knight somewhere like this, and then maybe he can play c4. MVL simply developing. Now, this pawn structure is very peculiar. You could say it's good, you could say it's bad for black. Like most things in life, it has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of this pawn structure for black is that the pawns are very compact in the center of the board, and the double pawns here, double pawns in the center is often a good thing. This pawn controls a lot of squares. The other advantage of black is he has an open f-file. But the downside is, look at this pawn. This pawn is a real target. And now knight takes e5 comes. And Runak has won a pawn. He's won a pawn. Remember, if he wins this, he's a pawn up. He will probably win the whole event. This is looking really good. And I'm glad that Runak is playing in a much more brave spirit to last week. He's playing on. He's playing on. He's such a talented player. Keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on him. He could be. He's 14 years old. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh, Hagski? He can't be 14. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. How old is he? 15. Wow, unbelievable, yeah? How can someone be so strong when you're 15 years old? Okay, but let's have a look at the other game, which is critical. And the other game, this at the moment looks good for Runak, but if Dropstone wins, they will have to rely on their tiebreak score. And if you look at the tiebreak, Dropstone has a better tiebreak. So we're going to go back to this game and hang on a minute. What's happened? It looks to me that black is just winning. I think Dropstone is just winning. Can we see what happened there? Whenever I swap games, of course, tactics happen. So we had this opening, which seemed fairly even, and all of a sudden we got this move here, and it just seems like black is just winning very easily out of the opening. Really peculiar. It's so strange to see a player as strong as, well, Dropstone's won it. He's won it. It's so strange to see a player as strong as Mamedyarov lose so quickly with the white pieces. That is really peculiar. Hate it when water goes down the wrong way. So excuse me for that. So yeah, I mean, that was really peculiar. Let's just have a look at what happened. Okay, well, before having a look, we should keep an eye on the other game that's critical. And this has gone wrong for Runak. He was a pawn up, but all of a sudden he allows MVL to go rook takes f3. And this is just the kind of move that you want to stop, because all of a sudden your king opens up. You don't want to allow this tactical chances. And now MVL's knight is also diving in to the position here. Also diving into the position. Let's have a look at, and this is the current position, and I think this has gone really wrong for Runak. But look at the scores. It looks to me we have a winner, and that winner is Dropstone, who is David's Paravan from Russia, only 22 years old. I don't understand how Mamedyarov played so badly in that game to lose against David. Very strange loss there. He, you know, everyone has a bad day at the office. So I mean, we've all played terrible games, and top players can play terribly as well. Let's not forget that legendary players can play terribly. But how is this young Runak going to get on here? It's black to move. Is it black to move? Oh, we must have some more moves. Why is it not updating? I have a little bit of a freeze. Okay, I needed to update, and let's just see. So the danger with white's position is that the white king is so exposed here. White had to sacrifice the exchange to get rid of that knight, and currently MVL is still attacking, but white's managed to exchange the queens off. So Runak has done a great defensive job here. He's managed to get the queens off. We're being told that if Runak does win, he will win on tiebreak. Is that true? Well, there'll be two players on 10 points. I don't see how he's going to win. It's equal material. And we also must think about what MVL is trying to do. MVL in the position, he needs to win to get in the prizes. There's no doubt about that. So he might take more risks, and this might give Runak a chance. Keep an eye on the scores. Eric Hansen, someone mentioned, having a great tournament. That's really good to see. Very popular streamer, as you all know. There's a lot of names up there that we've seen before. Gukesh, one of the youngest. I mean, some of these Indian players are amazing. The position, by the way, has changed again. Going back to this game, white has a very powerful pass pawn, but black has two connected pass pawns. Probably a draw, but I feel that black is the one trying to push. If black can get his rook behind the pawn, then he will be able to win. But I don't think he can. Black needs to get his rook on the c-file, but he can't because the white king is stopping it. The white king is stopping that rook getting behind the pass pawn. It's just covering all the squares here. And it is a draw. So we do have a winner. Dropstone is the winner. And well done to Dropstone, who won with 10 out of 11. There's still some games going on, and I want to go to my friend Gwaine Jones. The timing is all wrong. I go to Gwaine Jones, and he's getting checkmated. That's a pity, but still good to see Gwaine do so well in the competition. There are 4 prizes, and there's still a fight for the 4 cash prizes. So it's still going on. Let's have a look what other games are live. Is there any other games? My friend Sebastian Maze is playing, but I don't think he's in the prizes. So actually what I want to do is just go back to the last game of the winner, and it got very complex. It was around here. It looked like a normal position, and Dropstone with the black pieces completely demolished Mamedyarov, and I think Mamedyarov just forgot about his theory. Very easy to do in blitz. He went a3, probably thinking that after bishop takes, he takes with the pawn, but black instead went pawn takes d4 and now brought his knight in, and this is a really complicated position, and you can see that black's advantage is going. So I think some basic mishap in preparation here occurred, and White's position just gets worse and worse. The queen now getting attacked, has to move at some point. It goes all the way back, but after D takes c3, look at White's development. White's development is terrible. Now, a little question for you guys. I think White here should have played knight d2. Why do I think that is a good move? Come on, who's going to be first in the chat? Who is first in the chat? Why is knight d2 a really good move for someone? Who's awake? Anyone still awake? Why is that a good move? Anyone spot? Ah, well done, Mac Mura. Mac Mura, knight d3, checkmate. But to be honest, the actual game finished pretty similar to that. Anyway, let's have a look at how the game finished. The actual game was just as bad, with black coming to a2, keeping the pressure up, and now bishop to a4. This is horrible. This rook pinned down, and it gets even worse here. Black doesn't even take the rook. Black takes on c3 first. This rook, as we mentioned, is pinned to the queen, and now only takes the rook here. Queen b4, and White is still behind, and White has got all the problems. Behind in development, behind in material, and it's horrible. So that is the final scores of the tournament. Now, who is Z Kid? Who is that? Is that Samuel Shankling? Who is Z Kid? Who came third? So Runak came second, and I have to say I think Runak is due for a win in this tournament one time, and I was quite harsh on him last week for taking a draw, but in the last round, but he's done exceptionally well and he's come second again. I think he might have a good chance of winning it next time, but congratulations to the winner, Dropstone. And we have Steve Zeke. I don't even know who this guy is. I've never heard of the name, to my sins. Oh dear, I apologize, I've never heard of it. And I've got to look at some of the up and coming players, you know, unbelievable. And other results that are quite important here. Well, MVL just misses out on the prizes by that 9 points, but Eric Hansen did come 10th, which is an exceptional finish. Well done to Eric. You can go and watch his stream as well. Anish came 8.5, a good score. The field started with about 500 players, so exceptional tournament, but well done to the winner. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Just gonna give you a little hype video for the last part of the show. Don't go anywhere.
It's looking really ominous, especially given that he's down on time. This is the Magnus Carlsen squeeze. Wow.
Hikaru's playing in front of hundreds of people. Imagine being in his shoes right now. I mean,
Up by 4 games. Well, I can resign. Yeah, Hikaru knows it. It started with 16 players, and it all came down to one man, Magnus Carlsen.
And this is a pretty great matchup. I know people love Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru is the favorite for a reason. He's the beast, an absolute monster. It has been Hikaru's Speed Chess Championship this 2018, Hikaru Nakamura. The overall 1 seed takes it home in the Speed Chess Championship.
Obviously, this is a rematch of last year's SCC final. What a finish, by the way. I mean, that's been the story of the match. Hikaru Nakamura has just kind of out-swindled, out-tricked, and out-calculated Wesley in the critical moment. Oh, dude, that's a nice move. Wesley's shaking his head. Hikaru wins a pawn. He's going to draw this game.
I can't believe it what just happened.
That is unbelievable. Hikaru Nakamura holding that position. He had no business drawing that game.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching this week's Title Tuesday, and Well, yeah, I'll be back again, hopefully doing commentary in the future. It's a great event. It's great to watch and great fun to be in. So I will be leaving you now. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. Make sure you watch that Queen's Gambit show on Netflix. And yeah, goodbye. Bye from me for now.